Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. Yes, a slingshot, a crazy one, after a long time. Let me show you its features. Sorry for the strange look on my fingers, but I'm testing knife prototypes right now and not all of them passed. Welcome to my world. In any case, this goes back to a little bit of a collaboration. I would more, let's say, some advice that I gave to Mike Shake, a really popular YouTuber with a fantastic channel. I can really recommend it. And he came to me and asked me, how do I make the most powerful slingshot that I can handle? And I gave him a few tips. He had crazy ideas before that probably wouldn't have worked well, but I got a lot of experience with slingshots. So I gave him some advice and he came out with a monster slingshot. It was much more pretty than my version, but it basically was a starship with a huge elongated fork and of course a wrist brace, which is illegal in Germany, so I can't do that. And but it gave him serious power, but you could also see that he could have done better with a little bit more strength. I mean, he used a 3-band setup and he wasn't able to fully draw it. He was just not strong enough for it, and so you could see that it would probably have fared better with a little weaker rubber band set that he could have fully controlled. But he still did great, and he still reached like 85 joule with it, and he still penetrated the zombie skull. So that was great, Mike. Well done. With a little bit of practice, I'm sure he can soon exceed 100 joule. However, there was a lot of talk about, can we make it mechanically more powerful? And yes, there are ways, but forget about using like rollers for the band themselves and so on, because the additional friction that you create and the additional mass that you have to move is all eating away from the projectile speed. So we can still do it, I believe, but we have to apply the laws of physics in a different manner. And that's what I'm demonstrating here. So this is not a serious slingshot that I would like shoot every day, but it shows you something that physics can do to increase your strength without hitting the gym. So, it's like an exoskeleton slingshot. Let me show you its features. So this slingshot here has actually 4 bands. So it's a 4-band setup. It's much more powerful than the one that Mike used. And he could not have controlled it. And I struggle with it already, specifically when my fingers are a little bit hurt. In any case, what I'm doing here is I'm building a little bit of an exoskeleton, if you want. It's more like an assisted draw, because you see that I have this rubber band that runs here. And it's actually, when I release it from the roller, it goes over a roller, you can see that the rubber band isn't really that long. So what you do is you actually stretch it out and you then go over the roller here, like so. And then you can secure it on this screw. Okay. And now it is, of course, under a lot of tension. So, and it has this loop here. And this is so I can slip my hand in, and what I can then do is, whoops, when I hold on to the frame here, I can just unleash this from the little screw, and then I have to push my hand forward, overcoming the resistance of this. But then, of course, it pulls back my hand. So I invest the energy while moving my hand forward, grabbing the pouch, like so, right? And now look what happens. So even if I don't touch this, it already pulls out the slingshot a little bit. So this takes a few kilos off my draw, making it easier for me to draw it out, because now the energy that I invested by grabbing the pouch and stretching out the rubber, I can retain by releasing it this way. So this makes it much easier to stretch out these bands, just because this takes off a little bit of the load. And after the shot, I can simply hook it back in. Okay. Not so simple. All right, like so. And then I can slip out and go again. So this is what it does for me. It actually works like an exoskeleton, making my draw easier. But of course, I invest this by myself. So there's no engine, there's no battery required. It's all muscle powered. Of course, it's a little difficult to actually load the pouch and hold the pouch when your arm is under strain. But I solved this by just putting these 2 pins in here. Just screws, and there is a magnet that holds the ball in place, and I just put the pouch over it. So therefore, when I'm grabbing it, it is possible for me to just under strain, just grab the whole thing and make it possible. so that when I'm doing this like so, what I can do is I can move it forward, then I can grab the ball in the pouch, slip it out, and then I have it under control, like so. And again, so this is completely effortless, although I'm already pulling out the bands like twice as long as they're supposed to be in relaxed condition. Now I can draw out the whole thing as far as I want to and then fire away. Very simple. How effective is this? Well, it depends. Of course, you know, what you do is does not make sense to put on more than 50% of the weight of the rubber bands that you used to shoot in order to cock it, because you still want to invest a little bit of the power of your back and your biceps. So actually it would not make sense to power it fully from here. So you go like 50% of the draw weight of these bands needs to be here. So I could do a little bit more. This is just not heavy enough to really make it a difference for me. And also the whole thing is way more clumsy than it should be. So therefore I still prefer by far a regular slingshot, because this is also unwieldy and everything. I just wanted to show you the laws of physics and how you can apply them to a setup like this. So it does work. Now, why am I using a roller here? Well, it has several reasons. First of all, it would also work if I would make this much longer, and then I wouldn't need a roller. And yes, the roller does add friction, so it is a little harder with a roller than without. But of course, otherwise, to replace this, see how much longer the whole thing would have to be, almost twice as long to have the same effect. And it would make it even more heavy and more clumsy. So I opted for the roller. The other issue is that, of course, you want something like almost a linear difference between the draw that the rubber band has here and here. So if you use a short piece of rubber, you go from stretch factor 3 to stretch factor 5 maybe, and that means that here it will have very little effect, and here, where you don't need the help, because where these rubbers are also still easy to draw, then it would actually be very powerful, and here, where you need it, it would almost have no power to assist you. So the longer the rubber is here, the smaller the difference in the factor between the shooting position and the relaxed condition of the pouch here. So this means that by using a pretty long piece of rubber, that difference is small and it's almost linear. So it's taking me between 6 and 7 kilos of my draw force. So this is why I opted for this long solution here, for the wheel solution. In any case, I hope you like this and you learned something about physics today, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye bye. Ricochet.